Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Here are the headlines. Both houses of parliament disrupted over the demonetization issue. In the Rajya Sabha, opposition demands the Prime Minister's apology. In the Lok Sabha, they asked for discussion under Rule 56. Opposition also tries to corner the government for allegedly circumventing the Rajya Sabha after income tax laws are amended by Lok Sabha on account of it being a money bill. Delhi police files FIR to probe the hacking of the Twitter accounts of Rahul Gandhi and Congress party. Congress says hacking reflects the extremities of intolerance. And United Nations imposes fresh sanctions on North Korea, imposing a cap on its coal exports. New penalty expected to throttle the North's nuclear program. Well, the standoff on demonetization persisted on Thursday and discussion could not be resumed despite the Prime Minister's presence in the upper house. Proceedings were stalled as a united opposition demanded an apology from the Prime Minister for allegedly implying that opposition parties support black money. The government hit out at the opposition for paralysing the proceedings of the House and maintained that the Prime Minister would intervene if required.
For the 11th consecutive day, the demonetization stalemate rocked the upper house of parliament. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended Rajya Sabha during question hour on Thursday, as it is the day allocated to questions pertaining to the Prime Minister's office. Upping the ante against the Prime Minister, the opposition joined ranks in condemning his statement outside parliament and demanded an apology.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने एक दो सभाओं में ये बता दिया कि जो विपक्ष जो है प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि विपक्ष जो है ये ब्लैक मनी वालों को सपोर्ट करते हैं। इसके लिए तो क्षमा मांगनी चाहिए। प्लीज कंक्लूड नाउ। कर रहा है। प्लीज कंक्लूड कैसे? प्लीज कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं।
नोटबंदी के मुद्दे के ऊपर जब ये चर्चा इधर होती है तो प्रधानमंत्री जी इधर हाउस में प्रेजेंट हैं और चर्चा का जवाब दें। ऐसा हमारी पार्टी चाहती है।
The statements are being made outside. I am fully supporting what the leader of the opposition has said.
जो बहस है वो आपने जो सुझाव दिया तैयार है, लेकिन एक बात और है जो लगातार हम लोग कह रहे हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री जी चारों तरफ और हर तरफ बोल रहे हैं। यहाँ जब बहस हो तो इस बहस में वो बैठे सुने और पूरी तरह से जो जवाब दे सकते हैं।
The government reiterated that the Prime Minister would intervene if required and accused the opposition of running away from the debate.
Prime Minister is very much here, and as and when required, he will also intervene in the debate also. That has been said very clearly. And in spite of this, now their intent is not to allow the debate. What can we do? They are running away from the debate.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
The chair tried to broker truce.
A matter of interest to all sections of the House, a debate was conducted. It has remained unfinished. I have consulted the government now. They have no difficulty in continuing with the debate. Can we now, do I have the view of the House that where we left off, we continue?
A war of words ensued between the opposition and Treasury benches. Opposition members trooped into the well demanding the Prime Minister's apology. BJP members also engaged in verbal duels. As the logjam persisted, the chair first adjourned the House for 15 minutes, then till 2 p.m. Even in the post-lunch session, the Prime Minister was present in the upper house. However, opposition members refused to relent, continuing their demand of an apology from the Prime Minister. With little signs of reconciliation, the chair adjourned the House till Friday.
House is adjourned.
With inputs from Vishal Daya and Panchanan Mishra, Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, amid continuous uproar over demonetization issue by opposition parties, Lok Sabha was adjourned soon after resuming for question hour. Proceedings of the lower house have witnessed a near complete washout in this session over the issue.
The government and the opposition were once again at loggerheads in Lok Sabha over a discussion on the demonetization issue. However, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar reiterated the government's willingness for a healthy debate.
आप प्रश्नकाल सस्पेंड करके 0 ओवर से इसके बारे में चर्चा शुरू करने के लिए आपने सोचा है, वैसा चर्चा करने के लिए भारत सरकार तैयार है। इसलिए आप अब से चर्चा शुरू करवाइए, हम चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार है।
Adamant over the demand of having a discussion, opposition parties filed an adjournment motion which was rejected by the Speaker. Opposition parties also wanted a discussion under Rule 56.
मैं ये चाहता हूं कि आप इसको अलाउ कीजिए डिस्कशन के लिए, हम आपके सामने रखेंगे और हम आपको ये कहे हैं, आप किसी भी रूल में ले हो, डिबेट हो और उसके ऊपर वोटिंग हो।
You try to convince the government to agree to that, and we simply want that discussion with voting.
Why voting?
And if this issue is asserted, there are rules, madam.
कि रूल 56 के अधीन जो है बहस शुरू होना चाहिए तुरंत। मत विभाजन होना चाहिए, हम मत विभाजन से नहीं भाग रहे हैं। नोटबंदी से गरीबों की मौत हो रही है।
We demand that there should be discussion. We are not in favor of the black money. We should take strong action. But why government is not ready to come for the discussion?
On this basis, madam, after the announcement of this demonetization, on behalf of party, I have given adjournment motion, madam.
I would request through you to the government to make initiatives to talk to the respective political parties so that we can come to a conclusion and start discussion on this very subject.
When the uproar refused to die down, the Speaker first adjourned the House during question hour and then for the entire day. With inputs from Ravindra Singh Shoran and Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, on the first payday since the note ban announcement, most banks witnessed a huge rush with people desperate to withdraw their salaries. With many banks running out of cash despite rationing, the Reserve Bank of India has assured the government that it is ready for higher withdrawals.
Thursday was the first payday post-demonetization and most banks seemed underprepared for the expected massive rush. The heavy rush at most banks left quite a few customers disappointed as there's still a severe shortage of currency notes.
पेंशन निकालनी है भैया मेरे को, 11 वाले की ट्रेन ही नहीं आज पहुंच रही वहाँ पे, किससे आती मैं? यहाँ आई हूँ तो गेट बंद कर रखा है। गुजर हूँ, बड़ी बूढ़ी को क्यों परेशान कर रहे हैं ये? हैं? इतनी दूर से मैं 10-8 घंटे में आई हूँ यहाँ, अब मेरे पास पैसा भी नहीं है जिससे मैं पेट में कुछ खा लूँ।
On Thursday morning, banks witnessed double the amount of rush and in order to handle it, they resorted to rationing of cash.
मैं घर के समस्त कार्य छोड़ करके पहली फुर्सत में सैलरी लेने आया, लेकिन यहाँ पे पैसा बड़ी मुश्किल में निकला। सेंटर पॉइंट में भी गया, वहाँ पे भी अकाउंट से पैसा नहीं निकल पाया। वहाँ पे 2000 के अलावा कोई नोट नहीं। वो यहाँ पर भी मैंने देखा तो एक ही एटीएम चालू है 5-7 एटीएम में। मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि आर्थिक आपातकाल आ गया भारत में।
जो है आदमी आज पहली तारीख है, सैलरी आई है, सबको घर के खर्चे अपने देखने हैं और तो इसलिए है कि सुबह शाम तक तो और भी ज्यादा भीड़ बढ़ जाएगी, तो आदमी इसलिए सुबह लाइन में लग के अपने पैसे निकाल ले।
With increasing anguish over having to spend several hours to withdraw their own money, many mulled whether to take the first day of the month off. Even tourists are spending their days standing in lines instead of sightseeing.
मुझे जाने नहीं दिया जा रहा है, जबकि मेरा ऑफिस के यहाँ पे 5-6 अकाउंट है यहाँ पे डॉलर के रुपीस के जो है, मुझे नहीं जाने दिया जा रहा है। डिप्लोमेट को कितनी दिक्कत हो रही है इसकी, कम से कम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को ये तो देखना चाहिए, कम से कम जो आपके मेहमान हैं, गेस्ट हैं, डिप्लोमेट है, उनके साथ तो कम से कम रियायत आप दीजिए।
I've been waiting for 2 days to get cash out. I have no cash whatsoever at the moment, so I'm reliant on places that accept card only, which is making travelling around India pretty difficult.
Despite several banks claiming to have made adequate arrangements just to handle payday, many banks rationed cash to just 5,000 rupees per person, while some offered 10,000 to 12,000 rupees per withdrawal.
लोग कतार में तो होंगे क्योंकि आज सैलरी डे है, पहला दिन है, लेकिन हमने बहुत व्यवस्थाएं की। अभी आरबीआई का स्टेटमेंट भी आया था, बैंकों के स्टेटमेंट भी आ रहे हैं कि भाई 100 के नोट भी सफिशिएंट है, 500 के नोट भी बाजार में आ गए हैं और 2000 के नोट भी मिल रहे हैं एटीएम में, इसलिए कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, घबराने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। और मैं एक और अपील करना चाहता हूं आपके माध्यम से कि वो डिजिटल पेमेंट की ओर भी बढ़े।
Meanwhile, the government has cut short the deadline of using old 500 rupee notes at petrol pumps and for buying airline tickets at airports to December 2nd from December 15th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the Public Accounts Committee has decided to call the RBI Governor and top Finance Ministry officials next month to review the economic situation following demonetization. The decision to call RBI Governor Urjit Patel, Finance Secretary Ashok Lavasa and Economics Affairs Secretary Shantikanta Das was taken unanimously by members of the committee. The exact date will be decided depending on the availability of the RBI Governor. According to various estimates, GDP growth is likely to witness a decline due to demonetization, but the range varies from 0.5 to 2%. The economy grew 7.3% in the second quarter of 2016-17, up from 7.1% in the previous quarter.
We took some important decisions. One decision is the assets of India abroad, especially our embassies. There was a report by the CAG which we examined, and we are going to submit our report to the Parliament next week. We had a discussion after the demonetization. There are certain situations in the country. We are not against unearthing black money. Everybody support that. But this demonetization, withdrawing 1,000 rupee notes and 500 rupee notes has created some problem in the country. So we thought that in the first week or second week of January, we will call the Reserve Bank Governor, Secretary Finance, Secretary Economic Affairs to have an examination or review of the economic situation of the country after this demonetization.
Well, opposition parties lashed out at the government on Thursday for allegedly circumventing the upper house of parliament. The accusation came after the Lok Sabha passed by voice vote a bill to amend the income tax laws. The government, however, rubbished the claims.
Raising the issue during zero hour, Naresh Agrawal of the Samajwadi Party alleged that the government is using the money bill ploy to bypass Rajya Sabha. Agrawal's stance was supported by Congress's Jairam Ramesh.
संविधान के अनुच्छेद 110
Pardon?
आर्टिकल 110 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन
You are 267.
हाँ हमने 267 में ये विवाद का मुद्दा रहा है, सदैव से रहा है, लेकिन जब से सरकार आई है इस सदन में बहुमत न होने के कारण निरंतर ये सरकार इस सदन की उपेक्षा करने का प्रयास करती है.
But the issue is the use of the money bill route to deliberately bypass the Rajya Sabha. This happened first in the case of the Aadhaar bill.
However, the government was quick to refute all charges and highlighted constitutional provisions.
All of the highest regard of this house and the other house. But what is supreme is the Constitution of India. And the Constitution of India, Article 110, clearly lays down the mechanism. And it clearly says any bill altering processing of tax is a money bill. Certification comes thereafter by the Speaker in the event of a dispute. This Constitution neither we have framed nor they have framed.
As per the provisions of Article 109 of the Constitution, the Rajya Sabha has limited powers with respect to money bills. A money bill, after having been passed by Lok Sabha, is sent to Rajya Sabha for its recommendations. It has to be returned to Lok Sabha by the upper house within 14 days from the date of its receipt, with or without recommendations. It is up to the Lok Sabha to either accept or reject all or any of the recommendations made by the Rajya Sabha. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the official Twitter accounts of both the Indian National Congress and its Vice President Rahul Gandhi were hacked on Wednesday. While the Congress has said that the hacking exposes the vulnerability of cybersecurity, the BJP called it a move to sabotage its demonetization drive. Meanwhile, an FIR has been registered to probe the hacking. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has also started an investigation into the case.
In less than 24 hours, the official Twitter accounts of both the Congress party and its Vice President Rahul Gandhi were hacked. Gandhi's Twitter account was hacked Wednesday night and some obscene remarks were posted online. They stayed there for around an hour before being removed. After the hacking, the Congress party raised questions about the digital safety of all Indians. It also filed a complaint with the cyber cell of Delhi Police.
Free speech and right to disagree is under attack by lumpen fascists in this country. Such despotic and vulgar attempts reflect the extremities of intolerance and culture. It, however, exposes the cyber security network in India. It exposes the weaknesses of the cyber security as also the digital payments network.
The Delhi police has registered an FIR in the case. It has also sought the log details of Rahul Gandhi's account from the micro-blogging site.
Has received complaint regarding Twitter account hacking of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. We have initiated legal action. We have registered FIR and investigation is on. Ask the concerned agencies to give details, and the investigation in all aspects we have taken it up.
Meanwhile, the centre has ordered an inquiry into the hacking. The Ministry of Information Technology has also asked Twitter to submit activity details of Rahul Gandhi's account for the last 6 days. However, the BJP called it a design to discourage people from doing online transactions.
We in the government completely disapprove of the hacking of the Twitter account of Mr. Gandhi. Appropriate actions have been taken. The government of India, certainly in the IT ministry, talked to the Twitter account handlers, and we will render all the cooperation in the investigation. But what worries me is the kind of sweeping allegations being made, as if trying to divert the attention of the Narendra Modi's government initiative for a cashless economy.
On Wednesday, a series of explicit tweets were posted from the Congress Vice President's account. Most of the tweets, which were deleted soon after, carried expletive-laden messages. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a roundup of the other news from across the country and nationwide. Combing operations resumed on Thursday at the Nagrota camp, which witnessed a fierce gun battle and hostage-like situation on Tuesday. 2 main complexes at the army unit have been cleared. The army launched combing, search and sanitization operations after the conclusion of the day-long gun battle between troops and 3 heavily armed terrorists, in which 7 army personnel were killed. Normal life in Kashmir continued to be affected by a separatist shutdown on Thursday. Separatists on Wednesday extended the almost 5-month-long shutdown by a week, even as the unrest is showing signs of fatigue, with people defying the strike calls and increasing their activity. More than 100 civilians have been killed in months of street clashes between protesters and security forces since the killing of Hizbul terrorist Burhan Wani. Cyclonic storm Nada has weakened to a deep depression, bringing with it light to moderate rainfall to many places in Tamil Nadu, including the capital Chennai. On alert for Nada relief efforts, the Indian Navy is prepared with 2 naval ships to proceed to the most affected areas. They will undertake humanitarian aid, distress relief, evacuation and logistic support, including providing medical aid. Dense fog blinded New Delhi for the 2nd consecutive day, paralyzing road, rail and air traffic. Flight operations at the Indira Gandhi International Airport resumed after being temporarily suspended on Thursday morning, with the fog bringing visibility to below 50 meters. Rail services were also disrupted, with as many as 50 trains running late. The Met Department said that the fog is expected to last another 6 days. India's paramilitary border security force celebrated its 51st Raising Day on Thursday. The border guarding force was established on December 1st, 1965. The force is tasked with guarding India's land borders during peacetime and preventing transnational crimes. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. The United Nations has tightened sanctions against North Korea. On Wednesday, the UNSC imposed a cap on the country's coal exports, its chief source of hard currency. The fresh penalties adopted unanimously by the Council, including China, came as Kim's regime advances towards its goal of building a functional nuclear warhead.
The resolution imposes major new restrictions on the sources of hard currency, in particular coal exports, that the DPRK is using to pay for its nuclear weapons and its ballistic missiles.
The United Nations imposing its toughest ever sanctions on North Korea, placing a cap on its key coal exports after the state's fifth and largest nuclear test in September. The new sanctions resolution, which was spearheaded by the United States, came after 3 months of tough negotiations with fellow veto-wielding Council member China. It was passed by a 15-0 vote. Under the resolution, North Korea will be restricted from exporting beyond 7.5 million tons of coal in 2017, a reduction of 62% from 2015.
It sends an unequivocal message that the DPRK must cease further provocative actions and comply fully with its international obligations.
The US says the latest sanctions would strip the regime of more than $700 million, dramatically reducing the money it can spend on nuclear and ballistic weapons.
정부는 유엔 안전보장이사회가 북한의 5차 핵실험에 대응하여 현지 시간 11월 30일 수요일 오전에 결의 2321호를 중국과 러시아까지 포함한 만장일치로 채택한 것을
2321号决议应该得到全面和平衡的执行。第二，当前半岛局势复杂敏感，中方始终坚持实现半岛无核化。
The US has been warning for months that the North Korea's nuclear capabilities have increased sharply. Pyongyang, on its part, insists its nuclear weapons are a deterrent to US aggression and has brushed aside earlier sanctions, which have targeted its weapons exports and access to financial markets. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, OPEC representatives reached a landmark deal to reduce oil output, propelling crude prices after months of wrangling and market uncertainty about the ability of the once mighty group to strike an agreement. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries said on Wednesday that it would cut production by 1.2 million barrels a day from 33.6 million barrels. Here's a report.
The oil cartel, OPEC, has agreed its first supply cut in 8 years in order to boost the price of oil. Mohammed bin Saleh Al Sada, OPEC's president, said a cut of 1.2 million barrels a day would start from January.
The agreement that OPEC reduces approximately 1.2 million barrels a day to bring its ceiling to 32.5 million barrel per day, effective 1st of January 2017.
The move comes after more than 2 years of depressed oil prices, which have more than halved since 2014 due to a supply glut on the market. The price of Brent crude jumped 10% to $51.94 a barrel, and US crude rose 9% to $49.53 a barrel after the announcement.
This is a major step forward, and we, with my colleagues, we think that it is a historic moment to come to this agreement, which will definitely help in rebalancing the market, and it will help reducing the stock overhang.
In addition to the production cut by OPEC members, non-OPEC countries will be expected to reduce production of 600,000 barrels a day. OPEC did not list which countries these might be, beyond saying Russia was prepared to cut 300,000 barrels from its output of more than 10 million barrels a day.
The market needs to be rebalanced. Rebalancing the market would need courageous decisions from OPEC and with the support of some key countries of non-OPEC.
The deal comes after oil ministers agreed to a cut in principle in September, which would have limited output by about 700,000 barrels a day while allowing Iran to increase production. But disagreements between Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil producer, and Iran led to doubts an agreement would be secured. The Saudis were hesitant to shoulder the lion's share of a cut, while Iran had resisted reducing its own production, arguing it had yet to recover its output levels after years of sanctions. At Wednesday's meeting, however, Saudi Arabia agreed to cut output by about 500,000 barrels per day, a total reduction of about 4.5%. That will take its output to 10.06 million barrels per day.
Only one country which for reasons we can understand, that is Indonesia. They are net importer, so they could not participate, and they suggested to participate in the reduction, and they would like to freeze or suspend their membership.
Still, questions remain about the long-term impact of the deal and the ability of the group to enforce the cuts. The group has a checkered history of complying with its own agreements, with countries often producing more than their agreed-upon share. Analysts said oil traders would watch the agreement warily in the coming weeks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, Colombian authorities on Thursday said that they are investigating evidence that a plane carrying a Brazilian football team crashed because it ran out of fuel as it tried to land. Audio released by the Flight Control Center showed that the pilot had requested instructions for an emergency landing due to a lack of fuel and electrical failure. This was verified by the co-pilot of an Avianca plane flying close by at the time, who said he overheard the Lamia plane reporting it was out of fuel and had to land. Investigations are currently underway. The disaster on Monday night killed 71 of the 77 people on board. They were players and support staff of the Chapecoense football team. Here's a roundup of all the sports news in Sports Beat. Ace Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal has stormed into the quarterfinals of the Macau Open badminton tournament. In her second round match, Saina came from a game behind to beat Indonesia's Dinar Dia Ayustin 17-21, 21-18, 21-12. Saina has recently recovered from a knee injury. She had bowed out in the opening round of the China Open and made an exit in the last 8 at the Hong Kong Open. Magnus Carlsen has won the World Chess Championship for the third consecutive time after defeating challenger Sergei Kryakin of Russia. Carlsen sealed victory following 3 weeks of play and a series of tiebreakers in New York. Kryakin tied against Carlsen in 12 regular rounds but was beaten in the final phase of the 4 quickfire games. Anthony Martial and Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored twice each to help Manchester United ease into the League Cup semi-finals with a 4-1 home victory over West Ham United on Wednesday. However, Arsenal suffered a 2-0 home defeat by Southampton. United will now face Hull City in the semi-finals while Southampton will play Liverpool. That's it on this edition of the Newscast. Have a good evening.